This is your Barbados Today Morning News Update for Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carol Williams. Veteran trade unionist Roslyn Smith has broken her silence, and she's defending her stewardship in her first statement since the decision by the National Union of Public Workers NUPW not to renew her contract as General Secretary. The 65-year-old Smith served the NUPW for 47 years and has been receiving treatment for some time for an undisclosed illness. She has challenged the union's decision and is seeking close to $500,000 in compensation.
I never thought playing a role. Because while I was in hospital, I was still dealing with matters. People call a while. So my thing is that, home recuperating, and then things come about, I was doing that. I think I'll just put in my home life in perspective, that I'm happy to be home, recuperated, and when the time comes, when the matter is being heard, I will deal with that. One step at a time. The thing is that, yes, I am. I'm doing well. And as I say, I still follow issues. Have opinions, and you look at how things are going, things that need some intervention from time to time.
Elected officials aren't the only public servants who should be held accountable to the public. That's the view of Minister of Labour Colin Jordan as the House began debating the Public Service Miscellaneous Provisions Bill yesterday. The bill mandates the appointment of a Director General of Human Resources, among other things, and is expected to assist in reforming the civil service.
I want to call on the public of Barbados to hold not just policymakers, politicians accountable, but I'm calling on the public to hold accountable those in positions, the Director General and those in that office, those responsible for training and development. They also have to be held accountable, and the public, the people of Barbados, who are the users of the services provided by those at the executive level, they must hold persons in position to account. We have laid out that we have made these changes because we want to see a difference, an improvement, and we are calling on the public to add their voice, add their weight, put some pressure on to make sure that the changes and the improvements we expect to see are realized.
A shame, the reaction of Queen's Counsel Andrew Pilgrim, who's suggesting that his client only received justice after his plight was highlighted in the media. Last Thursday, Omar Da Costa Holder, who was convicted of the 2005 killing of a 20-year-old woman, her 3-year-old son, and 2-month-old daughter, was freed after spending 14 years in prison. He'd appealed his death sentence since 2003. But it was only after the Caribbean Court of Justice ruled that he could bypass the Court of Appeal and bring the appeal directly to them that the lower court issued its ruling. Andrew says this is disappointing.
It's a shame that you have to fight battles like this in the media. You have to call on the CCJ to get the court to do what it's supposed to do. And look forward to the courts functioning properly. And I expect that the government is not going to accept this lack of performance by the courts going forward. It's not something that we can, as a people, can afford to accept. We as a people have to be seen to be expecting more from public functionaries at all levels, from Governor General right down to janitor, garbage man. Every man got to perform your job, and if you don't perform your job, there should be sanctions for it.
At least one change to the Republic Bank Grand Cadouement hasn't gone down well with some bands. Karim Smith takes a look back at the issue that occurred on Cadouement D.
The move by National Cultural Foundation officials to abandon the National Stadium as a place for judging the dozens of bands on the road for this year's Grand Cadouement has subtracted from the atmosphere of the annual celebration. Revelers nevertheless made the most of every opportunity to show off their best and brightest designs as they crossed the stage in front of judges along Stadium Road outside the National Botanical Gardens. Some revelers and band leaders told Barbados Today they were satisfied with the new format, which saw 7 bands departing Warrens and the others from the National Botanical Gardens as they made their way to the newly renamed the Mighty Griner Highway. They were all judged on a small stretch of the stadium road but could not gauge the excitement or disappointment from Barbadians because there was no audience. In years gone by, dozens of citizens would flock to the National Stadium to watch the parade and the bands passing by, but this year it was only the bands, judges and commentators, resulting in some stakeholders expressing disappointment with the change. Notable bands included Trevor Chase's Outrage Band, which continues to attract more traditional revelers. His band featured numerous characters from the animal kingdom, including the lionfish and the crimson dragon. Other traditional bands maintained a level of consistency, including the Betty West Band and carnival icon Gwyneth Squires Band.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In Trinidad, the driver at the center of a shocking video that shows a car running over a woman as she lay on the road suffering an epileptic seizure has broken his silence. He claims that he saw no signs that anyone was in the path of the vehicle, as we hear from CNC3 News.
Social media has been both judge and jury, rendering its own verdict on what happened to Simone Ferreira last weekend. On Facebook, Tevin said that the driver saw the woman and drove over her willingly, while Kathy Ann said the driver has to be a beast and has no heart whatsoever. But the driver says he's being treated unfairly. Now, the driver told us he took this corner really slowly because he said on that day his vehicle wasn't working very well. He also said that it was around 6:30 a.m. and the sun was in his eye, thus obscuring his view. Now, take a look at this incline right here. The driver said because of this incline, the front of his vehicle would have been higher than the back, thus obscuring his view even more. But he also said that he heard and he saw a garbage truck closely behind him. So what he thought was a pile of garbage at the side of the road actually turned out to be Miss Ferrer's body. But he is maintaining that at no time did he run over her hand or her head.
And internationally, U.S. President Donald Trump, whose rhetoric about an immigrant invasion has alienated many in the predominantly Hispanic city of El Paso, will visit the grieving Texas border town today after a gun massacre that killed 22 people. We get the details from Reuters TV.
President Donald Trump on Wednesday will visit El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, where 31 people were murdered in 2 separate massacres. But in El Paso, a heavily Hispanic border town grieving from the attack, some of the president's critics are urging him to stay home. Former Texas Congressman and Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke on Monday tweeted, "This president who helped create the hatred that made Saturday's tragedy possible should not come to El Paso. We do not need more division. We need to heal. He has no place here." El Paso police say 21-year-old Patrick Crucius, who opened fire inside a Walmart on Saturday, killing 22 people, apparently posted a 4-page anti-immigrant screed claiming the attack was an effort to halt the Hispanic invasion of Texas. That's a term the president has used repeatedly to describe immigrants at the southern border.
This is an invasion. We're talking about an invasion of our country. Because you look at what's marching up, that's an invasion. That's an invasion.
And Democrats are linking the president's words to the El Paso massacre.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. And sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Carol Williams. Have a good day.